The Vale rises. The fires of Black Hollow still smouldered when King Elias Cain turned his army east. The rebellion was crushed, but now a greater threat marched for Velindor, the mysterious warlord known as the Vale. For weeks, rumors had painted the Vale as a shadow, a ghost of Malgrin's dominion. Some said he was Malgrin's son. Others claimed he was something worse, a master of deception, a warrior who never showed his face, whose army fought without fear. As Cain's army crossed the rolling hills of Valorwind, scouts returned with grim news.
They're not raiding,
One scout reported.
they're not looting, they take nothing, they just kill.
Cain clenched his fists. This was no ordinary warlord. This was a master bent on destruction. The Battle of Crimson Field. Cain's forces reached the Crimson Field, an open plain where the Vale's army had gathered. The enemy was twice their number, hardened warriors in blackened steel, banners bearing the sigil of the Black Sun, Malgrin's old mark. Then from the enemy ranks he appeared. The Vale rode a black warhorse, his face hidden beneath a silver mask. His voice when he spoke was hollow and cold.
You are no king, Cain. You are a mistake waiting to be erased.
Cain raised his sword.
Come and try.
The battle erupted. The ground shook with the clash of steel and the screams of the dying. The Vale's warriors fought like demons, fearless, relentless. Cain cut through them, his sword never stopping. His men fought valiantly, but the enemy was too strong. Then, an explosion. Fire burst from the rear of Cain's army. The Vale had outmaneuvered him. Trapped between two forces, Cain's army began to break. Rorik grabbed Cain's arm.
We must retreat, sire.
Cain's heart pounded. Flee or fight to the last man. But then he saw the Vale standing amidst the chaos, watching, waiting. This was not just a battle. This was a test. And Cain refused to fail. The fall of Crimson Field. Elias Cain wiped the blood from his blade, breathing heavily as the battlefield around him burned. His army was outnumbered, encircled and on the brink of destruction. Across the field, the Vale stood motionless, his silver mask reflecting the flames. He had set this trap perfectly. Cain knew one truth. If he stayed, they would all die. He turned to Rorik.
Signal the retreat.
A horn blast echoed through the night. Cain's forces broke away, fighting for every inch. He rode at the rear, cutting down any who pursued. The Vale's warriors did not chase. They simply watched, as if knowing this battle was already won. A city in peril. By the time Cain's forces reached Velisgard, the city was in turmoil. News of the defeat had spread. The people whispered of the Vale's army marching toward them, unstoppable. Inside the palace, the noble council gathered. Lady Selene stepped forward, her expression unreadable.
You lost, Cain.
Her voice was calm, but the accusation was clear.
The people are afraid. Some nobles believe we should negotiate with the Vale before the city falls.
Cain's jaw tightened.
And surrender?
She met his gaze.
Before there's nothing left to save.
The chamber fell into argument. Some wanted to fight. Others saw the Vale as inevitable. Cain slammed his fist on the table.
Enough. We stand or we fall.
But deep inside, he knew. This was not just a war of swords. This was a war of minds. And the Vale was winning. A choice in the dark. That night, Cain stood on the palace balcony, staring at the stars. How do you defeat a master who is always 2 steps ahead? Then, a voice from the shadows.
You cannot defeat what you do not understand.
Cain turned, hand on his sword. A hooded figure stepped forward. A spy, perhaps, or something else.
I bring knowledge,
The figure said.
of the Vale and of who he truly is.
Cain narrowed his eyes.
Speak.
The figure hesitated, then whispered.
The Vale is not just a warlord. He is someone from your past.
Cain's breath caught in his throat.
Someone you thought was dead.
Cain's fingers tensed on his sword hilt. The hooded figure's words echoed in his mind. The Vale is someone from your past. Someone you thought was dead. The night wind carried the silence between them.
Who?
Cain demanded. The figure stepped closer, lowering his hood.
It was Joran Vale.
Cain's breath caught. Joran had once been his closest friend, a warrior who fought beside him in the early battles against Malgrin's dominion. But Joran had died. Cain had seen his broken body on the battlefield. Or so he had thought. It's not possible, Cain muttered. Joran, the Vale, was alive. And now he was leading an army to destroy everything Cain had fought for. The truth behind the mask. The spy spoke quickly.
Joran was taken after the battle at Black Ridge. Malgrin's warlocks saved him, twisted his mind. They broke him, turned him into something else.
Cain's blood ran cold.
Why would he fight for them? Because
the spy said grimly.
he believes you left him to die.
Cain clenched his fists. He had mourned Joran, buried him in his heart, but now his lost brother had returned, not as a friend but as his greatest enemy. The siege begins at dawn. Horns sounded from the walls of Velisgard. The Vale's army had arrived. Cain stood atop the battlements, watching the blackened host spread across the valley. Thousands of soldiers, siege engines, banners bearing Malgrin's old sigil, and at the center, the Vale himself, Joran, clad in his silver mask, staring at the city like a hunter watching prey. A single rider approached under a white flag, a messenger. Cain rode out to meet him. "The Vale sends a message," the rider announced. His voice was calm, cold. "Surrender Velisgard, and your people will live." Cain's hand gripped the hilt of his sword.
And if we refuse?
The messenger met his gaze. "Then the black sun will rise again, and your kingdom will burn." Cain turned, looking at his city, his people. He had fought wars before, but this was personal. He exhaled sharply, then turned back to the rider.
Tell the Vale that if he wants Velisgard,
Cain unsheathed his sword, the steel gleaming in the morning sun.
he'll have to take it from my hands.
The shadow of the past. Elias Cain stood on the battlements of Velisgard, the cold wind biting at his skin. Joran Vale was alive. Not just alive. He was the Vale, the master of the enemy army that now threatened to reduce the city to ash. Memories of their years as brothers in arms resurfaced. The battles they had fought, the oaths they had sworn. Cain had mourned Joran's death, and now he had returned, not as a friend, but as a conqueror. Rorik stepped beside him, eyes on the vast army beyond the walls.
Sire, do you believe what the spy said?
Cain exhaled.
I don't want to.
He gripped the stone railing.
But I saw him, Rorik. That mask, the way he stood. It was him.
Rorik hesitated.
If he truly believes you left him to die, then he won't stop. Not until he's buried you beneath this city.
Cain's jaw clenched.
Then I have to face him.
The last parley. Before the first siege engine rolled forward, Cain made a decision. He rode alone toward the enemy lines, past the Vale's soldiers, who parted to let him through. A final attempt to reach the man beneath the mask. At the center of the enemy camp, the Vale stood waiting, armored in black and silver, his mask glinting in the firelight. His voice, cold and distant, broke the silence.
You should have stayed behind your walls, Cain.
Cain dismounted.
I came to talk. There's nothing left to say. Then why am I still alive?
Cain's voice was calm but sharp.
You had every chance to kill me at Crimson Field. Instead, you let me leave, just like now.
The Vale was silent. Cain took a step forward.
I don't know what they did to you, but I do know you, Joran. I know the man behind that mask. The man who once stood at my side.
The Vale's fingers twitched at his side. For a moment, Cain thought he saw hesitation, a crack in the armor. Then the Vale spoke.
That man is dead.
His voice was colder than before.
The only thing left is justice.
Cain's heart sank. The Vale turned.
Return to your city, Cain. When next we meet, it will be on the battlefield.
Cain mounted his horse, his grip tight on the reins. His old friend was gone, and war was inevitable. As he rode back to Velisgard, he made a silent vow. If Joran could not be saved, then the Vale would be destroyed.